Trail and Summit. My name's Matt, and this is my van. So, I did this build myself. So what I did is I started with sound deadener all throughout the van, the walls, the ceiling, the floor, and then I came in with a hydrophobic foam. It's a soft, it's not like a hard rigid foam, but just kind of a, almost like a cotton style foam. Then I came in and I ran my lighting, and so what I have is I have my LEDs, and I've got them on a double switch right over here. And what you can see is I've got them on two different toggles. So I've got the back, which you can see, and then I've got the front right up here as well. So that's kind of our little setup. It works so we can kind of separate our lights if the kids are sleeping in the back, and then we're up front, we can do that. So my fan here, I went with the Fantastic vent fan. The reason I chose that fan was because the top profile on the outside, the exterior of the van, is a little more low profile, which I needed because I was doing a specific rack system, which you might see in a minute. I like the fan. I feel it goes in, it goes out. I feel like it doesn't move as much air as maybe some of the other fans, but so far I've been happy with it, no problems. It's got a rain sensor on it, which is super cool. So I really like that. All right, so for my cooler, we didn't do anything fancy. Eventually I'm gonna have a galley here with like a little cooktop on it. But for right now, we just have the Dometic cooler, the 65 liter, I believe. And it's dual zone, which is super cool. So we can have a freezer on one side and a fridge on the other side. Wouldn't say I've done that yet, but it's definitely got that option. So that's kind of what we did there. I really like it. I got this cover on it. Kind of helps with the, helps keep it insulated. So for those long trips, like if you're going with a buddy, I know like it's not super practical, but I did also install my Cobra CB. Super fun, super easy. I wouldn't say I use it a whole lot, but on those road trips when someone else has one, super fun. So what I did for my heater is I got my little control right here, and it's an S-bar diesel heater. And the vents are, I got two vents, and they sit underneath the passenger side down here, and they can swivel. So I got one here, and I've got one over here, and this one's kind of nice. It's on a swivel, which I can actually close. So that's pretty cool. The nice thing about that is it runs right off the diesel tank, and I don't have to fill it up. It's not propane. It's a real dry heat, so in the winter that's super cool. What I do for my electrical is I have two 6-volt batteries in line, which I can show you in a minute, and they're underneath the hood. I replaced those from the just stock house battery, and everything gets wired underneath the driver's side seat. If I would do things differently, I would have put a fuse box outside of the seat. I wouldn't have put one underneath the seat, because if ever I blow a fuse, I got to pull that seat, change the fuse. Not probably the best thing, but again, it's my own design. So what I did for my house batteries, let me explain what that means. I have my house batteries right here. They're two inline 6-volt batteries, and those are separate than the starting battery, which is actually underneath the van on the driver's side. So I can run all of my fridge, my lights, my diesel heater. I have a couple of USB plugs back there that I can use, and all that is run off these two inline 6-volt batteries. So again, two inline 6-volt batteries make a 12-volt battery, which is what runs everything in the back. I upgraded it, and I got this little bracket from Adventure Wagon. I think they're in Portland, Oregon, and the bracket comes stock to fit exactly in this space, and they give you all the directions on how to put that in. Pretty easy. It's just kind of a bolt and go thing. It's not a big deal. So what I did though is I just grabbed two basically golf cart batteries, two 6-volts, and I doubled my amp hours. In my old stock battery, I think I had 90 amp hours, and right now I'm running 235 amp hours. So I more than doubled my capacity in that way. So super cool little bracket from Adventure Wagon, and I just got a couple 6 volts from the local battery shop. So for me, we're a family of 5, my wife and my 3 kids. So for us, we had to have a little more seating, especially because we use our van for buzzing around the city, taking kids to soccer games, going up to the mountains, all that kind of stuff. So we needed a little bit more seating. But then when we adventure, we don't like the extra seating. So what I have here is I have a 2-person seat. And actually this was a stock Mercedes-Benz 3-person seat, which got cut down to a 2-person seat. So it's pretty nice because I have it on the quick release ratchets right here. So we can fit 2 people here. And then in the back, we have our bench seat, which folds into a bed, and I can show you that in a bit. But then that is 3 people. So we can fit 7. And then if we're just buzzing around town, it's great to have the extra seating. If we're adventuring, I like to pull this out, get a little more room, a little more space to kind of play and hang out. So for my window coverings, I found these little magnet covers. It's from Tin Barn. I found the guy on Facebook. There's not a lot to them. They're super well built, but they're very thin. There's not a ton of insulation. I know a lot of people do a lot thicker window covers if they want more insulation. It does have like a reflection on the side, on the back side, which really does kind of help keep the heat out. But it's pretty simple, just all on a magnet. This goes up super fast. So for my rear seat, what I wanted was a seat in the back that ended up folding into a bed, so I could double bed and seating. But I wanted a couple different things. I wanted 3-point seat belts, right? So a shoulder strap. I also wanted armrests. And I also wanted headrests, and these headrests adjust up and down. So I kind of was able to accomplish that. Unfortunately, I was not able to find anything remotely close to that in the United States. So this particular bed is a rib Altair, and it's out of France, believe it or not. I actually had to have the seat imported to Canada, which I bought it then through a company in Canada, and then I transported it across the border. So it wasn't the easiest thing to source, but I was able to make that happen. So I think the benefits of that, as you'll see in a second, is I've got the seat belts, the headrests, the armrests, and it's super quick to fold into a bed. So basically, I just come over here, and right now we remove that 2-person seat, which gives us a little more working room. I like to take that out when we're adventuring. But if I had to set up the beds with that 2-person seat in there, I still could. I do have the room for it. So you just activate this. It's a little bit different, like it folds and it hinges forward. Then you operate the center, and actually this bed actually comes with a memory foam on the back. So you could sleep just perfectly like this. I find it with the seams, I find it not totally comfortable. So we do just like a 3-inch memory foam, and that's that, just like that. Now my bed's set up. But we do a little 3-inch memory foam down here, which kind of gives it just a little more cush. And I think that's just from Costco. So, but just like that, the bed's set up. Then what I do, so my wife and I, we stay low. And then what I do for the kids is I actually, from a metal fabricator, I had these rails built. I just drew up the design and they just fabricated those for me. I installed them, and then I just cut some marine grade plywood. I know a lot of people are doing these aluminum frame beds, which is actually a really cool idea. But I kind of thought for 3 small light kids, I could get away with some plywood. So basically all I do, not the fanciest, but I just got a little strap system, slide them out, and that's about it. One thing that's kind of cool that I came up with on my own was these butterfly draw latches, just to keep everything cinched up. So it's just a butterfly draw latch, push it in just like that. On the back side over here, I do have the rear bolted in. You can see from the top, there's a couple of bolts back there. So it kind of keeps everything secure in place. If I wanted to drive with it this way, if I didn't have kids in it, then I could. It's not going to slide forward. It's not going to fall off. Everything's super secured, locked down. So one thing I bought, because I sleep low on this bunk system, and it gets a little bit stuffy in there, even if we crack the windows and have the fan going, just because we're kind of tucked in the back if the kids are up top. So I just on Amazon bought this little O-Polar USB charged fan, and it's got 3 settings, and it just clips right onto the bed here, and it just kind of moves air back so I can just sleep much nicer. So I knew I'd be putting a lot of things on the roof box, surfboards, skis, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely wanted roof access. I went with the Aluminess ladder. Basically 4 bolts, super easy to go on. Real stout ladder, super light. The only thing I added to it, which I found on reviews that people were talking about, was there was no grip. So I just got some little grip tape and I just put it on the top of each rung, which actually is super helpful for climbing that thing in snow or rain. All right, so what I chose to do on my roof was I just got these 3 roof bars. They're from RB Components. The reason I went with these was because I knew I didn't really want a platform. I like those. I just didn't necessarily see the need for them. But I do always have like a roof box, or I got my surfboards up here or whatever. I like that they're a little bit elevated. Again, it's the reason I went with the smaller profile fan, was so that it wasn't above these bars and I didn't have any infringements there. These bars are super great. They do have an indentation on the side, so I could have this top mounted awning from Fiamma, which I also knew I wanted. If you have a rack system, like a platform, you have to do a side mount. I didn't want to do that, so I had to have these specific bars. So all in all, I've been super happy with it. It's got a couple tie down points. Yeah, anyways, I've been really liking it. I'm not actually sure why these bars, if I'm totally honest with you, I'm not sure why they stick out so far outside of the profile of the van, but really haven't had any issue with it. I just thought it was kind of an interesting feature, but actually as the more I use this van, I kind of tend to grab onto them, or I've slid surfboards out a little bit further, so I guess they're useful for that. But if it was me, I probably would have made it 3 or 4 inches shorter just to have a lower profile. But all in all, I think they're super great, super stout, real sturdy, no problems. So one upgrade that I did on the suspension was I did a Van Compass shock upgrade, and it comes with 2 shocks in the back with reserve reservoir, and they're an adjustment. And then in the front, it's an added kind of stabilizer, and it just really helps with the ride. I just didn't think that the stock shocks on this thing were amazing, and so I definitely did that, and I've found a great performance upgrade just while driving on the road and even off-road, being able to adjust those back shocks. The tires that I went with was the BF Goodrich KO2s. I didn't do a lift or anything on that, and so the biggest size that I could fit was a 265 75 16, and I have no rubbing, I have no issues. It brought the van up just a touch, but it was much better than the stock tire. I do have a 4-wheel drive van, and so I just thought with where we'd be going, I definitely wanted to do a tire and a shock upgrade, and so far it's been great. Thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for checking out my family 4x4 Sprinter van. Cheers, we'll see you out there.